Hey everyone, it's Marcello here from the Toyota World YouTube channel, and I'm inside of a brand new 2024 Toyota RAV4 Hybrid. And in this video, we're going to talk about and go over how much money in gas you can save, how much fuel cost you can save by buying and going with a RAV4 Hybrid versus a non-hybrid RAV4, just ahead in this video. All right, so aside from all the other fantastic benefits of owning or driving a RAV4 hybrid versus a non-hybrid, like the instant responsiveness on the acceleration on takeoff on a RAV4 hybrid versus the non-hybrid, you'll know that if you've driven the non-hybrid and then driven the hybrid afterwards, it is quite more enjoyable of a takeoff when you're accelerating. You've also got resale value. The hybrids tend to hold a little bit higher when it comes to resale value. Now, nonetheless, this is a Toyota we're talking about, so it doesn't really matter if it's a hybrid or non-hybrid with regards to resale. You're going to be in a good spot and a good position, but you always are a little bit, you have a little bit of an extra edge when you're talking about a hybrid Toyota versus a non-hybrid Toyota. And one more cool fact and benefit of owning a RAV4 hybrid versus a non-hybrid is generally you will experience a little bit of a less maintenance cost during your time of ownership on your hybrid Toyota RAV4 versus your non-hybrid Toyota RAV4. I did do a bunch of videos on this. You can check out in the link below and go back later, or check out the card here in this video with regards to the maintenance on Toyota hybrid vehicles. Now, let's get to the fuel savings on a hybrid RAV4 versus a non-hybrid RAV4. Let's start off by recognizing the average fuel consumption for the non-hybrid Toyota RAV4 for 2024. It's about 8 liters per 100 kilometers. And yes, I'm in Canada, so this is the system we're going to be using. You can go ahead and convert it, or I'll give you a summary conversion after this of what you will save. But in terms of the average city and highway combined, you're looking at about 8 liters per 100 kilometers. Now, on a 57 liter tank capacity, and I'm saying tank meaning the fuel tank, the gas tank. So it's got a 57 liter gas tank capacity on the non-hybrid RAV4s. If you do that math, you're looking at about 710 kilometers combined city and highway driving on a full tank. This translates to about 441 miles in terms of full tank usage on the non-hybrid RAV4. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Let's say you do an average of 20,000 kilometers per year, which for the most part, most of our customers and viewers here on the channel do average driving, which is about 20,000 kilometers in a 12-month calendar year. That translates to about 28 gas tank fill-ups. So you will be at the gas station approximately 28 times to fill up your tank in a matter of a year. Now, the non-hybrid RAV4 has slightly a larger fuel tank than the hybrid RAV4. I think the hybrid has a 55 liter gas tank. This is a 57, but we'll get to the hybrid one in a second. But that, let's say, translates to about $90 per gas fill up, let's say, depending on where you're from, what country or province or state you're in, and how much the fuel is costing to put inside that tank. But on average, let's say it's about $90 to fill up the 57 liter gas tank. Well, that gives you a total cost of fuel for the year of $2,520. Now, what about the hybrid RAV4? So the hybrid RAV4 combined city and highway driving gets you about 6 liters per 100 kilometers average. And on a 55 liter gas tank, that gets you about 910 kilometers to a full tank average combined city and highway driving. Now that translates to about 500, I believe, and 65 miles for a full tank on the RAV4 hybrids, if you want to convert that. So again, going back to the average commuter of average driving, if you're driving about 20,000 kilometers per year, that's only about 22 gas tank fill-ups for the calendar year, which puts you at about 8 less trips to the gas station. Now, let's say on the cost of the fuel tank fill-up when you're going to the gas station, let's bring it down a little bit to $85 average, as it's a few liters less than the non-hybrid Toyota RAV4. Well, that leaves you a grand total of $1,870 average cost for a calendar year to fill up your tank and drive about 20,000 kilometers on your 2024 Toyota RAV4. Now, this is keeping in mind you're combining city and highway driving. So if you do the math, that leaves you with about $650 in fuel savings for 1 year of driving the hybrid RAV4 versus the non-hybrid RAV4. Let's see what we think about that. Now, is $650 fuel savings average really enough to say, hey, get me that RAV4 hybrid instead of the non-hybrid? I think it is. Now, keep in mind the price gap MSRP to MSRP of that of a non-hybrid RAV4 to a hybrid RAV4 for 2024 model years is anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 price difference when you compare the non-hybrid to the hybrid. Of course, the hybrid being pricier and more expensive of the two. So it looks like it would take you about 2 years, maybe 3 years, depending on how much you're driving, how you're driving, and so on, to make up that difference in terms of how much you've spent for the vehicle and cover it on your fuel savings. But like I mentioned earlier in this video, there's more than just the fuel savings when you're looking at a RAV4 hybrid versus a non-hybrid RAV4. You've got the more enjoyable and pleasurable drive, acceleration, and like I mentioned, you are also going to be hopefully experiencing a lower cost of maintenance during the life of the ownership of that RAV4 hybrid. Now, keep in mind, I'm going to put a disclaimer down below in the description of this video because there's a lot of factors that can alter these numbers or these statistics, like how hard you're driving the vehicle, how many passengers are inside the vehicle, how fast you're accelerating, how hard you're braking, what the temperature is outside. We all know that in the colder weather, the hybrid systems work a little bit less to your advantage. So definitely keep these things in mind. But generally, you are looking at saving around $600, $650, maybe even $700, give or take, if you take this kind of break and apply it to the way that you drive your Toyota RAV4 or RAV4 hybrid. We'll catch you in the next video. Take care.